2 weeks before our wedding, my fiancé ghosted me to go party with her ex, so I quietly made a plan of my own behind her back. And what happened next turned into her worst nightmare. It started like any other morning. I reached over to her, side of the bed, but it was empty. No big deal. I figured maybe she went for a run or had something early going on. But then I walked into the bathroom and saw her stuff untouched. That's when I started feeling off. She hadn't come home last night. I called, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Hey, where are you? Woke up and you weren't here." Nothing. Hours passed. I started getting nervous. Mia never went anywhere without letting me know. By the time it hit noon, I was losing it. Her phone was still off, and I was pacing. I even called her mom. She had no clue. Her dad hadn't heard anything, either. At that point, I knew this wasn't some silly miscommunication. I tried her friends. No answer. A few of them left me on read. That's what pissed me off more. They were always loud at dinners or get-togethers, but now? Silent. I was spinning out. Should I call the cops? Was she hurt? That night, I barely slept. My phone stayed in my hand the whole time. Every time it buzzed, I hoped it was her, but it never was. Around 4 a.m., running on zero sleep, I opened Instagram, just scrolling on autopilot. Then I saw it. A group pic, her old college, friends at some bar laughing it up, and right there in the middle was Mia. Big smile, drink in hand, like she didn't have a wedding in 2 weeks. My chest dropped. I stared at the photo for a solid minute. It was her. I tapped the bar tag, just curious. It was in Spain. Spain. She had flown across the world without saying a word. No note, no heads up, just disappeared and reappeared on Instagram looking like she was living her best life. I couldn't believe it. Who does that? How do you leave your fiancé like that? I texted her, "I know where you are. Get on a flight home now or the wedding's off." I didn't care how it sounded. I followed it up with a long message, disappointed, hurt, angry. Her phone? Still off. I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about every single moment we had together, wondering how it all fell apart like this. Her parents called again the next day, asked if I'd heard anything. When I told them what I found, they were just as shocked. "Spain?" Her mom's voice cracked. Her dad muttered something angry I couldn't quite make out. They said they'd try to reach her, but I didn't count on that going anywhere. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was just done. The person I loved, the woman I thought I was going to spend my life with, had dipped to party across the globe. She made her choice. That evening, she finally called. Her voice was weirdly calm. "Hey," she said like we were catching up after lunch. I cut her off. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" My voice was shaking. "You vanished. I thought something happened to you." She sighed, clearly annoyed. "It's not that big of a deal." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She explained that her college friends had planned this surprise trip and only told her last week, but the flights were booked, everything was paid for, and they insisted she come. "I didn't want to waste the money," she said. I asked why she didn't just tell me. Her answer? "Because I knew you'd overreact. I deserved a break. Haven't had one in years." I sat there, stunned. Not angry, not yelling, just speechless. "What about our wedding?" I asked. "It's in 2 weeks." She casually replied, "I'll be back before then. Relax." That word, relax, set me off. I said, "If you're not back tomorrow, there's no wedding to come back to." She responded with, "I already told you I'm staying, deal with it." Then she hung up. I won't lie, I didn't sleep. I stayed up all night thinking, stewing, boiling in my frustration. She was out there drinking and dancing while I sat in this silence cleaning up the wreckage. That's when I decided I wasn't going to wait around for her. The wedding was off. If she wanted to act like a tourist with no commitment, she could do that, but not with me. I woke up the next morning, tired but clear-headed. Still no call, no apology, nothing. And honestly, I didn't expect one. I grabbed my phone and opened Instagram again, like poking at a bruise. There she was, now at a beach, drink in hand, arms slung around some friend, sunglasses on, smiling at the sun. I didn't feel hurt. I felt insulted. She looked like she didn't miss me at all, not even a little. That's what broke me. So I made my move. First, I messaged the wedding planner. "We need to talk." It felt surreal writing those words, like it wasn't even my wedding anymore. She replied quick, probably thinking it was a minor update or seating issue. Not quite. Next, I wrote a message to our guests. I sat there, staring at my phone, retyping it over and over, before finally sending it out. "Hey everyone, just letting you know the wedding's canceled. Please don't reach out right now. I need space. Thanks for understanding." That was it. No details. No explanation, just done. And as soon as I hit send, my phone blew up. People texting me, some kind, others nosy. "Sorry to hear that," or "Are you okay?" I ignored most of them. I wasn't ready to talk. I was still processing. By the afternoon, word had spread. Later, that evening, her parents called, their voices uneasy and full of confusion. "What's going on?" her mom asked. "Why are people saying the wedding's canceled?" I told them everything, from the second she vanished to that awful phone call. I laid it all out. The texts, the Instagram photos, her complete disregard for what we had. Her mom broke down crying. Her dad didn't say much, just muttered something under his breath about her needing to grow up. They said they'd talk to her, try to get through. But I didn't have much hope. If she wasn't listening to me, why would she listen to them? That night she called again. This time I let it ring. I didn't want to hear her excuses. She texted, "Please answer. I just want to talk." I ignored it. The next morning, I started the hard stuff, canceling the venue, the florist, the photographer. I thought it would break me, but it didn't. It actually felt like I was getting my power back. Every cancellation gave me a little piece of control. I wasn't going to let her decisions ruin my life. The planner was kind, told me she was sorry, and to let her know if I needed anything. The vendors? Not so much. Some hit me with heavy fees, which sucked, but I'd deal with that later. After that, I started packing her things. I couldn't look at them for long, so I just shoved everything into boxes. Clothes, books, even that stupid decoration she insisted on keeping in the living room. I piled it all into the guest room, shut the door, and walked away. That night, her parents called again. They had finally reached her. They said she was upset and wanted to come home. "Just give her a chance to explain," her mom said. "She loves you." But love didn't cut it. If she really loved me, she wouldn't have done this. "She can come back," I said, calm and distant. "But she's not coming back to me." 2 days later, she showed up. I saw her car in the driveway, a suitcase in the back. She walked up and knocked, over and over, calling my name. "Please, let's talk," she cried. "We can fix this." Her voice cracked, and for a second, I almost opened the door. Almost. But then I thought of that call, her Instagram stories, her telling me to deal with it. I said through the door, "The wedding's off. You made your choice." She broke down, loud sobs that echoed through the hallway. It hurt to hear her like that, but I couldn't let her back in. Not this time. Eventually, she left. I watched her drive away, crying, and it felt like something lifted off me, but also like something inside had been torn out. That night, my phone blew up again. Her friends, her family, even a few of our mutual friends. "She's really sorry," they said. "You should talk to her." But I couldn't. Not now. Maybe not ever. After Mia left, it all hit me like a brick. This wasn't some temporary thing. The wedding was off. We were done. At first, there was this strange calm, like I'd finally made a choice and didn't have to agonize over it anymore. But that peace didn't last. Everywhere I looked, there were reminders of her. The travel magnets from our trips, her favorite coffee mug still sitting in the sink, a framed photo from her cousin's wedding where everyone said we looked like the perfect couple. It was like the whole apartment was mocking me. I thought about boxing it all up and dropping it at her parents' place, but even picturing her mom's face made my stomach turn. So I left everything in that room, shut the door again, and tried to forget. That didn't stop the messages from rolling in. Friends, family, people I barely talked to. Some sent supportive notes. "I'm so sorry," or "Let me know if you need anything." Others weren't so kind. A few mutual friends started questioning me. "You're really ending it over this?" one asked. "She didn't cheat. She just went on a trip. Don't you think you're overreacting?" That word, overreacting, kept coming up, and it ticked me off more every time. This wasn't just about the trip. It was the way she did it. She ghosted me, ignored my texts, calls, everything. And when I finally found out what she was doing, she acted like I was the problem. She knew. She knew exactly what she was doing. I replied to one persistent friend. She made her decision. Now she has to live with it. Her parents didn't let up either. They called me every single day for a week. "Please talk to her," her mom begged. "She's heartbroken." Her dad tried guilt-tripping me. "You've been together for 6 years. Are you really going to throw that away over one bad decision?" That phrase kept echoing in my head. One bad decision. But was it? Or was it something deeper? I couldn't stop thinking about what she said during our last call. How she still needed life experiences before settling down, like she was already regretting the life we were trying to build. And I couldn't unhear that. Eventually, even my parents got involved. I don't know if Mia's family reached out or word just spread, but one night my mom texted, "We need to talk." When I called her, she got straight to it. "Why is the wedding canceled?" I tried to explain everything, but she wasn't hearing it. She cut me off again and again. "People make mistakes," she said. "You're not perfect either." That hit hard. Of course I'm not perfect. No one is. But this wasn't forgetting a date night or messing up a dinner plan. This was my fiancé flying off to another country 2 weeks before our wedding without saying a word. "It's not about the trip, Mom," I told her. "It's the way she handled it. She didn't respect me. She didn't respect what we were building." She sighed. "I just think you're making a big mistake." And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. Then came the final straw. Mia's friends emailed me. Not a text, not a DM, an actual email. I guess they figured I blocked them everywhere else, so this was their last shot. It started with a weak apology. "We're sorry about how this turned out. We didn't mean for it to go this far." But as I kept reading, I realized they weren't apologizing. They were blaming me. "She was really looking forward to this trip," they wrote. "She's been so stressed about the wedding, and we thought this would help her unwind. We didn't think you'd react like this. React like this. Like I was the one in the wrong. The kicker? They admitted they told her to ignore me. We told her not to worry about your messages," they wrote. "We figured you'd calm down once she got back." Calm down. While they were halfway around the world partying with my fiancé, I couldn't even... I started therapy about 3 weeks after that coffee shop encounter. I didn't go in looking for answers or expecting to feel better after a few sessions. I just needed a space where I could unpack everything without being told to just talk to her or move on already. It wasn't about blaming Mia or justifying myself. It was about learning how to sit with the pain without letting it swallow me. My therapist didn't say much at first. She just listened. And honestly, that alone helped more than anything anyone else had tried to do for me. I talked about the missed calls, the silence, the wedding that never was, the ache of 6 years, vanishing into thin air. I talked about the guilt that still creeped in late at night, wondering if maybe I'd been too cold, too rigid. And I talked about that part of me that still missed her. Not the version that went to Spain, but the girl I fell in love with in college. The girl who used to squeeze my hand 3 times when she thought I looked sad. The girl who made a playlist for every road trip. But even through all that remembering, something started shifting. I began to understand that grief doesn't always come from something dying. Sometimes it comes from something surviving when it shouldn't have. We were holding on to an idea of each other, not who we'd actually become. Mia made her choice, and I made mine. And for the first time since it all fell apart, I started to believe that maybe that was okay. Healing wasn't some clean, perfect arc. It was jagged, clumsy, and often unbearably quiet. But it was real. I stopped checking old texts. I muted. Mutual friends who couldn't stop picking sides. I deleted the folder on my desktop labeled Wedding. And one day, without really planning to, I pulled that old box out of the closet. The one with the letters, photos, the souvenirs. I sat on the floor with it for a long time, just holding it in my lap. Then I opened it. And for the first time, I didn't cry. I smiled. Not because it didn't hurt anymore, but because it had mattered. All of it. 6 years of my life. Good, bad, beautiful, heartbreaking. It had mattered. And now I was ready to let it go. Not to erase it, but to stop living in it. I packed the box back up, and this time I didn't shove it. In a closet. I donated most of what was inside, kept one photo, and tossed the rest. And when I lay down that night, the silence felt a little different. Not so loud, not so crushing. Just calm. I don't know if Mia ever truly understood what she did or why it cut so deep. Maybe she still tells her side of the story differently. That's her right. But I know my truth. And that truth is, I loved her. I lost her. And I found myself again. Not all at once, but piece by piece. And that's enough. Months after everything fell apart, one of the few friends who had stuck by me through it all brought up the idea. "You should try therapy," she said gently. At first, I brushed it off. "I'm fine," I told her. "I just need more time." But time wasn't doing much. Every time I felt like I was starting to move forward, something pulled me right back. A memory, a text from someone who hadn't heard the wedding was off, or a song on the radio that hit way too close. I was mentally exhausted. I finally went to a therapist, not knowing what to expect. The first session felt weird. I didn't even know where to begin, so I just blurted out, I was supposed to get married, but I called it off. The therapist nodded, calm and steady, and asked me to walk her through it. As I talked, all the anger, the guilt, the confusion I'd been shoving down came pouring out. I felt like I'd just run 10 miles by the time I left the office. Therapy didn't magically fix everything, but it gave me a place to unpack the weight I hadn't realized I was carrying. I started seeing that my pain wasn't just about the Spain trip. It ran deeper. The way Mia had ghosted me, dismissed my feelings, and showed zero accountability revealed how different we saw our relationship. I saw it as a real partnership. To her, it felt more like a checkbox she was trying to tick. My therapist asked me something that stuck with me. "If this hadn't happened, do you think you would have seen these cracks eventually?" I kept thinking about that. Maybe we would have gone through with the wedding, and it'd take years before we finally faced how different we were. Maybe I would have spent the next decade pretending things were okay, just because they looked good from the outside. As painful as it was, maybe it was better to end it when we did. Rip the Band-Aid off instead of letting the wound fester. So I started focusing on me. I wasn't just dragging myself to the gym anymore. I had goals. I started running in the mornings, something I used to hate. I signed up for a cooking class, mostly because I was sick of living on takeout. Work became my safe zone. I dove into every project, stayed late, even landed a small promotion. My coworkers joked I was turning into a full-blown workaholic, and maybe I was, but it sure beat spending my nights replaying old conversations. Then one day, 6 months after the breakup, Mia texted, just 10 words. I hope you're doing well. I stared at it for what felt like hours. Part of me thought I should ignore it. Another part of me felt like saying something, not to reopen anything, but just to acknowledge what we once had. In the end, I replied, I am. I hope you are too. She never answered, and that was fine. Things with my parents were still tense. They had been so in love with the idea of Mia and me. They couldn't see the reality. Every time I tried to talk about how things ended, they acted like I was just being cold or dramatic. After a while, I stopped trying. I couldn't keep begging them to understand. I started spending holidays with friends instead. No pressure, no guilt, and honestly, it felt like a breath of fresh air. On what would have been our first wedding anniversary, I noticed something unexpected. I felt lighter. Not over the moon happy, but not weighed down anymore either. I wasn't constantly angry. I wasn't stuck in my head replaying our last fights. I'd let go. The final time I saw Mia was at a mutual friend's wedding. She was with someone new, so was I. We caught each other's eyes across the room, gave a polite smile, but that was it. No words, no tension. Just two people who used to share everything, now living completely different lives. Later that night, while dancing with my date, I caught a glimpse of Mia from across the room. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anything. Not sadness, not bitterness, not regret. It was just done. Looking back now, calling off the wedding was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but also the best. It broke me open, forced me to look at the pieces I'd ignored for too long. I learned a lot over the past year. I learned how to set boundaries. I learned how to speak up when something doesn't feel right. I learned that loving someone isn't always enough if they don't meet you where you are. And maybe the biggest lesson? It's okay to walk away. Even if you've given it years. Even if everyone around you thinks you're making a mistake. Letting go doesn't mean it didn't matter. It just means you finally chose yourself.